Once upon a time, this tank was nothing more than a forgotten world, a place overtaken by algae and neglect. The fish, however, were thriving, but the aquarium itself was lifeless and dull. What if you could take something dead and breathe new life into it? What if beneath the surface you could unlock something mysterious, something alive, something filled with possibility? This tank was more than just an eyesore. It was a challenge waiting to be taken. First step is to install the base for the background, and I've chosen cork bark that I'll attach using some silicone. I know it looks a bit weird, but none of this is gonna be visible in the end. I've always wanted to make a paludarium with a waterfall, so here I'm reinstalling the original filter box that came with the aquarium. This will be a stone-only hardscape, and I found some amazing rocks that are perfect for just this. To protect the glass, I'm laying down some filter sponges as I scape. So the idea is to build a retention wall that's gonna hold back the substrate and all the land area. I thought it would be fun to include a cave in the water section. I'm gonna have this plant light right here, so I do have to have that in mind when I'm scaping. To hide the blue filter sponge, I'm adding in some of the old aquarium gravel. I'm blocking the intake to the pump with a net to prevent any small creatures from entering the filter. I then began the horrible part of gluing all the rocks in place, and for this I'm using black aquarium safe silicone. Now I need to build inwards and create a little land area right here. So it's now the next day. I'm seeing everything with fresh eyes and it's really coming together now. I mean, yes, you can see all the glue, but that's going to be covered with small rocks and some plants, you know, mosses and stuff like that. So the plan is that the water is going to fall down here and then trickle down into the water. So now I need to build up the east wall in an L shape like this and then connect the east wall to the west wall, you know, so we build a cave here with the light inside. Okay, let's see. This is where we turn it on. Then we have a few functions here. Green, red, orange, blue, purple. This is the normal one. We have a timer for 6, 10 and 12 hours. Now it's time to do something about that cork background. I'm gonna cover it completely with water lily clay. Water lily clay is often used in ponds for lilies. Simply mix it with water to get the desired consistency, and then smear it all over the cork bark. Now it looks 10 times better. But imagine it being covered with moss. This day is almost over, but before I leave I'm gonna prep the pump with some filter floss. And then the actual pump itself, it's the old power head that came with the aquarium. Before I'm adding it to the filter box, I'm adding a piece of tubing. This has kept me up at night. I'm so scared to fill this thing up with water because I'm scared that it might collapse. Yeah, I stirred up the sand. Okay, moment of truth. Okay, so the flow is definitely too strong. And I really like how it's trickling down. I put some filter floss inside the tube and now it's perhaps a bit too weak, but we're getting there, you know? That's a bit better. As the water is clearing up, I'm gonna add the substrate divider, followed by the substrate, which is a mix of topsoil, sand and dried moss. You can see here that the substrate is already seasoned, with springtails and isopods. With the substrate in place, it was now time to visit the forest to collect some moss. To attach the moss, I simply press it gently into the wet clay. And off camera I added some metal wire pins to really keep it in place. Another plant that I like to pick in the forest are ferns. They're definitely my favorite plants. Just make sure that it's allowed to pick them where you are. As I was planting the ferns, I realized I didn't have enough plants. So I ordered a whole bunch of them and called it a day. And perfect timing because I have just received the plants. Or plants. We have two F. villosa, Acravia grön. It's the Ficus pumila quercifolia and the Ficus punctata. So everything was very neatly packed, but if you... But I don't like that they, laid everything down so the soil is everywhere. Man, come on, man. The f is this? Apart from everything being covered in soil and the plants were upside down, I guess it's hard to ship plants and have them neatly packed. But yeah, other than that, they seem to be very high quality and they seem to be doing well. So my goal is now to keep them alive until it's time to plant them. Whoa! I can't believe how good this looks. This is my best work so far. I can't wait to plant this area as well. But there's a problem. So the waterfall is spilling over into the land area. So I'm thinking I cannot have the same substrate as I have in here, in the land area over there. But instead I'm going to use aqua soil. Aqua soil can be soaked in water and have plants in it, so it doesn't matter. I saw this on a channel called Terrarium Design. He had the same issue with the waterfall spilling over into the land area. But he addressed that issue with aqua soil. Yes, we're almost done here. It's looking amazing. I'm really happy to see everything evolve here. So I was sitting over there enjoying my lunch and I noticed that the tank is all fogged up now. That's because we have basically no ventilation here. This is not meant to be a terrarium, this is meant to be an aquarium. Now there's one last thing I want to do before I leave, and that's to add springtails. Since we got all this condensation on the glass, I'm worried that everything will mold. Now it's time to bring the waterfall to life with some aquatic moss. So it's now been over a week since I built this paludarium and a few things has happened. For one, I increased the water flow in the waterfall, so now we really have a good trickle that I'm happy with. Second of all, I added a small little power head just to keep the water moving, and I think I'm going to remove it once everything is established. We also had a lot of brown algae like diatoms on the glass that I have removed now, and I did a huge water change. I even brought the water level up slightly, so we have a little bit more water now in the tank. And since there's a lid on this aquarium, we have a lot of condensation, which caused this plant to mold completely and lost a few leaves. I don't know if it's going to recover or I have to remove it. So today's job is to complete the water section with plants. Alltså. You. F***ing. Let's try that again. Another clump here. Now finally, let's add in the salvinia. So I'm on my way now to my vampire crab's house. No. I'm on my way now to my parents' house, and today's the day we're gonna introduce the vampire crabs. And I actually have the tank right here with me. As you can see, I have the safety belt on. Anyway, I probably shouldn't do this while driving, so I see you when I get there. So I'm at my parents' house now, and I forgot the SIM card to my camera, so I have to use the phone for this. I actually haven't seen the tank for 2 weeks now, so let's see what it looks like. And the first thing we see is condensation. So I have to open it up to let the condensation out. The second thing we can see here is all this algae on the glass. There's nothing here, there's very much here. This means that the light is way too powerful. We have to do some maintenance here. We have to clean all the algae, clean the glass. We have to do a water change. And then we can add the vampire crabs, the fish and the shrimp. And by the way, I didn't add these snails. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 snails, but I didn't actually add them. They came in with the plants. So what I've done up here with the light is that you can twist these. See, now we have a lot of light. But if I twist this all the way to the land area where we actually want most of the light, I think it's decent now. Okay, so I got the SIM card and the tank is looking very good. But if we take a closer look, you can see that that moss right there is covered with algae diatoms. But this is normal, you know, this is a startup phase. I think these are diatoms at least. Look at that booze all covered with algae. And these two guys right here are fighting the algae as well, but they need some backup. So today is very exciting because we're gonna add 2 types of shrimp, 1 type of fish, and 4 vampire crabs. I have the hospital tank here with me, but those of you that doesn't know what the hospital tank is, it's just a little setup that I set up for 2 vampire crabs that lost their claws. So it's a little space where they can chill out, I can monitor them, I can feed them by hand. The plan was for them to regain their claws. I originally thought there was a male and a female, Ignacio and Cosima, but it turned out to be both males. One of them regained all their limbs, all their claws, and the other one regained everything except 1 claw. And then the other day when I was cleaning the nursery, I found 2 female crabs that were basically teenagers. Let's go. The fish all went inside the cave. Let's see when they come out. The snail finally got the backup he needed.